Since 1989, 4 countries in West Africa have been hit hard by destruction and violence. Red Cross societies, supported by the International Federation's Abidjan regional delegation, have provided assistance here throughout the fighting. This is the story of 4 communities and the bonds they have formed with the Red Cross in the region as they move from relief to development. The war in Liberia began in 1989 and soon destabilized the entire region. 2 years later, fighting broke out in Sierra Leone. Hundreds of thousands were forced to live as refugees and displaced people. Southeast Guinea sheltered over 500,000 refugees. When aid agencies came to Guinea to assist refugees from Liberia and Sierra Leone, the Red Cross was already there, managing camps, building wells, and distributing food. Today, the refugees have begun to return home, so there is time for the volunteers to visit Guineans and talk with them about their basic needs. Clean water, or the lack of it, is an important concern. Outbreaks of cholera and other diseases have been traced to the lack of clean water. This river was the only source of water for villagers who bathe here, wash their clothes, and use it for cooking and drinking. The time-consuming task of fetching water is left to the women. The volunteers asked the women about the burden placed upon them. Wida Lua is president of the Women's Committee in this village. Every morning, I wake up early to fetch water for the family. When I return from the fields in the evening, I go back to get water again. The volunteers met with the village chiefs and a government official. Wida Lua was also invited. The volunteers wanted to build a well, but they needed to see if the villagers were also motivated. Belly Diallo is coordinator of the Red Cross branch in Nzerekore.
Mais c'est la communauté elle-même qui doit participer pour montrer l'intérêt de la communauté pour l'action de la Croix-Rouge. Parce que si la communauté participe elle-même à la réalisation de leur puits, elle va aussi prendre soin d'entretenir le puits et de bien gérer l'eau qu'on a mis à la disposition de la population.
Terms were agreed. The villagers would help choose the site. While the volunteers dug the well, the villagers would house them. The volunteers would donate their time. WFP would provide food for work and UNHCR money for the cement and mixer. The cost of the well was 1,200 Swiss francs, or 1/10 of government estimates.
Tu plonges dans l'eau.
When the well was finished, the Red Cross handed the keys to Wida Lua. It was an important gesture to all the women in the village. Nobody used to think we women were very important. But since we now keep the key to the well, we feel more important.
Je disais, ça c'est la chlorine. Donc vous versez une cuillerée à café dans un seau d'eau.
Maintenance of the well is left to the women. They pay a small user's fee. Proceeds go for repairs and chemicals. The well is a small contribution to the health and the well-being of the people here. But the joint effort created a bond between the volunteers and the villagers. Along the road to self-reliance, it helps to meet friends. Red Cross health worker Vincent Massoua lives in a small village near Danane, Côte d'Ivoire. He and his wife grow cocoa, coffee, and rice. They work hard to make ends meet. In 1989, life in Vincent's village changed dramatically when they awoke to find 4,000 Liberian refugees at their doorstep. In one respect, the refugees were lucky. They arrived just after the rice harvest. The villagers emptied their storage bins to feed the starving refugees. Vincent and his neighbors shared everything they had: food, firewood, clothing. But their generosity depleted their resources. The close living conditions made everyone more vulnerable to disease.
Bonjour, chers parents.
Recently, Red Cross workers from Danane and the villagers decided to work together to set up a health post. Vincent was chosen by the villagers to be one of 2 health assistants. The plans took time as they involved the whole community. Dr. Seya Aimé Mathurin coordinates the community health program for the Red Cross in Côte d'Ivoire.
Nous ne pouvons pas venir agir au profit des populations sans leur participation et sans leur avis. Nous avons constaté des problèmes de santé dans leur village. Nous venons en discuter avec eux pour qu'ensemble, on trouve des solutions.
The villagers are building a health post. They are donating their labor and some supplies. The Danane Red Cross is providing the cement and other materials at a cost of about 150 Swiss francs. The health workers treat diarrhea, measles, malaria, and other easily curable problems. Villagers purchase drugs locally at a fraction of the cost in town. A small profit is charged to support the project, and a village committee oversees the work. Dr. John Mulangu works in the Abidjan Regional Delegation, which coordinates all the activities of Red Cross national societies in the region. The regional delegation has set up 4 task forces, including one for health. If there were to be a health emergency in Côte d'Ivoire, Dr. Mulangu would call on the skills and resources of other national societies in the region to help out.
Ce qui est important ici, c'est la santé de la population, c'est juguler, n'est-ce pas, le fléau qui peut arriver. Donc notre rôle se situe là. C'est un rôle technique, c'est un rôle avec toutes ses composantes, c'est un rôle, c'est un support.
The people in this village have given much to help refugees in need. In the process, they have gained skills and courage, which, with the help of Red Cross volunteers, will enable them to meet the next crisis they, or future generations, might face. When the war in Liberia reached Bongtown, it left a trail of destruction behind. The once prosperous iron ore mine shut down and was quickly looted. Generators which supplied electricity for all of Monrovia were vandalized. The managers and their families left hurriedly for Europe with a vague promise to return one day. The local people, many of them mining families, had to fend for themselves. Roland Enders heads the local Red Cross branch in Bongtown. In 1992, more fighting broke out. The residents were terrorized and feared for their lives. Roland persuaded many to seek temporary shelter here at the Red Cross branch.
I saw the need to talk to them to come for safety at the Red Cross building. And I talked to about 2,000 persons who listened to me, and they came. And the 2,000 was here about a week ago, from the 9th to the 16th of December. And those that came, out of the 2,000, about 50 had food. And all of them, most of them did not have. And we are managing to see if they could share what little food they had.
Although cut off during much of the war, the Red Cross in Bongtown continued to function. Volunteers did everything they could. Some have even used their savings to help families in need. Today, there's a semblance of peace in the country. Some refugees and displaced people have already returned home. This woman was a refugee in Guinea. Now she sells baking soda and salt to get by. There is no real work here, and life is hard. Bongtown is in a holding pattern. Economic security will come only with lasting peace. The residents of Bongtown say their destiny lies in the hands of the next generation.
A, B, C, D, E.
Red Cross volunteers kept this school going throughout the war. The school is a safe haven where children find security and love. Parents make great sacrifices to pay for their children's books and materials. Elizabeth Brown is principal of the school. As a Red Cross volunteer, she works without pay because she knows the parents appreciate her efforts.
The attitude of the parents is very positive. They want their children to go to school to give them the best of education. But because of unemployment and hardship, no money, is very difficult to send their children to school.
Some of the older students were soldiers in the war.
They have been demobilized and they want to further their education. So they come back to prepare themselves for a better life for the future.
In Monrovia, the Red Cross worked throughout the war to provide emergency food and medical assistance to residents in desperate need. In 1996, the National Society's office and equipment in Monrovia were looted. Now it is trying to prepare itself for the enormous task of rehabilitating the country. Recognizing this need, the International Federation's regional delegation arranged for Ernest Cummings, Secretary-General of the Sierra Leone Red Cross, to help the National Society of Liberia plan the way forward.
You are not only helping, but you're also learning. Exchange experiences, exchange expertise, and for sure, you should be able to, at the end of the day, realize more.
Thomas Liu is the Federation's delegate in Liberia. He is encouraged by plans to move away from relief towards development.
We are in that phase now where we put more and more effort into development activities. So here we can really practice what we have always in the Red Cross emphasized on, and that is to work with relief for development.
In Bongtown, many miners and their families are farming small plots of land. For the moment, it is their only hope for survival. The old people dream of what could have been if the mine was still working, if their pensions had been paid. But most put their hope in the children and in the strength they receive from each other.
You may choose various colors.
Neighbors helping neighbors in need. This family is among the last to leave a camp for displaced people near Kenema in Sierra Leone. They will be given food aid for 3 months, then be expected to make it on their own. They, like many others, believe that in spite of tremendous obstacles, it's time to go home. Throughout the fighting, the Red Cross delivered assistance to refugees and displaced Sierra Leoneans. Today, the priority is to work together to help rehabilitate their homes and villages. The Red Cross is one of several agencies participating in a government-coordinated program. In this village, it provides food for work to those willing to clear roads and rebuild clinics, schools, even their own homes. Locally made farming tools and kitchen sets are available for vulnerable families. Rebel forces occupied this village during the war. The local militia forced them out a few months ago. The rebels left behind their graffiti and a town in ruins. Aid agencies say they underestimated the needs. Many families had spent years living in the bush. Should they be refused assistance? After years in exile, the villagers are in ill health. The Red Cross sends out medical teams. They can treat simple problems, but more serious cases go untreated, as referrals are rarely possible. Momo Yaja is chiefdom speaker in Nyawa chiefdom. He knows he and his people are in a race against time. Soon, the monsoons will come. It will rain heavily for weeks. The fields have lain fallow for years. It is back-breaking work in the hot sun, but they have no choice. The food aid will end this year.
Soon the rains will come. We must prepare the fields for planting and finish building our houses.
Red Cross workers are desperate to get rice seeds to the farmers in time. They admire the villagers for their strength and determination to survive. The volunteers would like to do more to help. But, as we have seen in this video, they and the villagers must work within their capacities and resources. As these communities move from relief to development, they know they can rely on the Red Cross.
Now it's Abita, Pellica, all the man better will be Kerala, Kerala, will be all the Abita, Pellica, Kerala, will be Kerala.